Okay.
Here we go. Let go and go with the Sifuboggie. Good evening. I am Sifuboggie, and welcome to The Way of Mindful Consciousness, a weekly podcast and YouTube show discussing spirituality and science, balancing health and well-being with mind, body and spirit, with a Daoist twist. Dao means the way, the path, the balance. We are not the normal talk show. Each week we have a different subject or guest. This week we have a guest, and our aim is to have an open discussion to help us all gather new skills and find new ways to help our own personal Dao. Now, at the moment, it's just me and the guest. It's me and Juan at the moment, but Marilyn may appear at some point, and also great Robido may appear at some point. But for now, it's just going to be just myself and tonight's guest. So tonight's guest, the show is The Way Of. Right, here goes my tongue twister. The Way Of Juan José Vivicos. I can't get that middle bit. Juan José Vivicos.
Vallejo. Cívicos.
What he said. But, thank you. Right, and now Juan does many things. He is one of the things that we will discuss. He is a cosmic pilot, is what he calls himself, amongst other things. So, good evening, Juan. How are you doing, firstly?
I'm fine, just happy to be here talking to you, and looking forward to extend the explanation of the concept of cosmic pilot. I don't think that many people should place this definition, but yeah, I'm looking forward to explain this to you and give some light and explanations to the concept.
Well, it's a good starting point, because it's a good, we have many people who are very familiar things. We had yoga practitioners before, and Tai Chi practitioners, Qigong practitioners, but cosmic pilot, that is something definitely that you are at least that name, you are the first on the show, so it's very interesting, and it's good to finally connect up. We've had a few technical difficulties over the last 3 weeks, actually. So it's your original show, and then we had we had the guest that came on, and then we've had 2 technical difficulties since then. So we've sort of been a little bit sporadic show wise for the last month. But we're back. We're back on a roll. We're back in the air. So
correct.
Indeed. So my question, and it's going to be an interesting show tonight, because normally there is about 2 or 3 of us at least, co-host wise. So it's going to be a different show to normal, but different's good, because at the moment, as I said, it's just going to be a one-to-one, pretty much. So my normal question is, I explained right at the beginning of the show what the Dao is. So what is your Dao? What is the way? What is the way of Juan José? No, I still can't get it. Vivicos.
Yeah.
What is your way?
You can call me
What is your Dao?
And I think that probably many people who are also in the family of light know me. We are about 3 years of longer trying to download information from the Akashic records. And the point of the cosmic pilot is just because we have reached the album of creation. I think that our bodies of lights have been able to journey in the cosmos, and we have been purifying during these last years our energies individually and collectively, And that means that some of us are actually downloading cosmic information. And you can load that information from Mother Earth, or you can do it from the sun. And the mirror moon is also sending us information, and of course, all the spiritual awakening of our civilization is now active, working together to bring this knowledge. Was not lost knowledge, but in part it was. So what we are creating is a new experience. We are creating a new experience. That is what we were missing here. And this you can compare, of course, with airline pilot. They are connected to the ground control, and we lead our path in the cosmos through this information. We communicate telepathically with the source, some of us, and that is what we are downloading here unconditionally on Mother Earth, and that is a process that is taking a few years. And well, that is basically how I can explain in a few words what this process, my particular way, individual way, it's all about at the moment. So every day we get more downloads, and if the people who is in the family of light, as we like to call ourselves, they are making live videos. They are telling about all the extensive knowledge of the creation of humanity and our connection with the cosmos.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Right. I've got a couple of questions. Well, questions and a few. I mean, this is interesting for me because because of the fact I'm one of the there are two things in the Eastern wise I was ordained by my Sifus and in China, and one's barefoot doctor, which is somebody who travels around healing, using either using food or herbs, using massage and knowledge. And the other one is a dragon dog shaman. Dragon dog shaman, with this, what you're talking about is really interesting because I was brought up in a way that for those. So downloads is a very cool word. Before that, most people have heard of Reiki, or a lot of people have heard of Reiki, and in a Reiki they call it attunement. You get an attunement. You're attuned to a symbol or to an energy. Now that's in the Western Reiki. Now in the Eastern Reiki, where it originated, changed. When it came to America and then the rest of the world, it got changed. Things got altered. Now, traditionally, you had these. There were empowerments, and they were every week or regular. Now, the Chinese versions, one of the Chinese versions is known as Shun Qi Shen, which means flowing energy spirit. Now, when in flowing energy spirit, what you talk about is exactly what they do. So, firstly, you receive from your Sifu, Sifu being teacher or muse, you receive the empowerments, the downloads, but eventually you actually learn through Qigong and through meditation that everything is energy, everything is vibration, everything is living, everything is alive, everything, even this plastic box, the wooden chair, everything is technically alive because it's all made of matter, it's all made of energy, and energy is alive. So everything can give information, can give out information. So in the dragon dog shaman principle on the higher levels, they do talk, or what you've talked about is like receiving sun from the moon, but from the trees, because everything's leaking information. So that is so. What is the purpose I'll ask it like this. What is the purpose for you of these downloads?
Well, for me, and I think for humanity, is the purpose to get stability in our motion through the cosmos. I think that we are in a clear spiritual awakening of humanity. Spirituality was, if you think that we are organic, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual beings, that means that the spirituality was one of the factors that we were missing in our societies. We have seen also in the Eastern societies where spirituality was more present. For example, India, China, Japan, where the Reiki come, and all these Oriental of Eastern energies were a little bit lost in our Western societies, where we were more focused on the progress linked to the energy of the money. So the meaning of this, of the purpose of this journey, is to connect humanity with the real essence and the real purpose of our existence as organic beings, also related to the spiritual world, where we were losing the connection once that the last time, 2000 years ago, Christ was dismissed, rejected, and eventually killed. Then is when we lost definitely, I think, the opportunity to restore our path in the cosmos. So in the last 2000 years, we have lost that. Humanity has got in the energies, we have created many toxic energies, and that is the purpose now, to purify those energies, to heal all what we have experienced in the last 2000 years, because we had basically lost our path on Earth and in the cosmos. So that is the stability that I'm talking about. If you, for example, you drive a car, you need to sit center in front of the wheel. You have to be balanced, and then you need stability, and the stability is when you miss spirituality. It is what we have lost collectively, because the lack of spirituality has made our societies has been run on other kind of energies, what are created a quite different experience for humanity than the experience that we were created for. So what we are trying is to match the purpose of the universal creation for humanity at this moment. That is the real purpose. We can co-create in connection with the source and the universe a more comfortable journey for all of us.
Okay, cool. So, right, what is our purpose in this lifetime? What is our purpose then, therefore?
A collective purpose.
Yes.
Well, I think that is to live in harmony. We have a great diversity of cultures of our planet. Our civilization is composed of religions and beliefs, and that is where I talk of all prophets' consciousness, because all the prophets basically they are talking about the same consciousness. So you read Buddha, you read the Quran, of Christians, shamanists, Hindus. Krishna, Shiva, Shakti, we can conclude that they are interpretation of the same consciousness. And at the end of the day, if you think of that consciousness as God, the God is the consciousness, is the universe, is the womb of creation where we are in. So someone decided 2,000 years ago to break that connection, and that decision has created a quite different experience collectively in all religions, and that division has got us in confrontations, conflicts, wars, or whatsoever. So the purpose of these unities understand that we are connected in that consciousness, universal consciousness, but at the same time we are independent, free, and sovereign in our individual and also in the diversity of manifestations of the consciousness. That is a concept that is what we are now talking about, that we are one. When people say we are one consciousness, but obviously every single one of us is a different experience, is a different spark, having a different experience from the same consciousness. I think that is the purpose, and when we are globally able to create that connection and that understanding, but what we lost definitely was the understanding of who we really were. We should be able to coexist in harmony. So that is the purpose, I think, of this movement of spiritual awakening, and understand each other in our languages, religions, but respecting each other's space, time, and beliefs. In peace, that is, peace is of course one of the parameters of the space highway in the cosmos. It is peace, it is freedom, it is love, it is the truth. And in that truth is where we can find joy and happiness to have a more comfortable journey for everybody. Once that we understand that we were not created to fight, we were created to discover the infinite universe in love. So that is basically what's my interpretation in my words to your question.
Yeah, yeah. So in essence, I mean, we, at least in the last 2,000 years, very longer, we sort of lost our way. What you could definitely say with the way media is set up, modern day comes out obviously through the media. Media is definitely set up with more focus on fear. I have had friends who work in the media, and they say bad news sells. So there is this focus on fear, and of course we especially in the last 200 years, we've gone through this phase of science and interesting for me, where originally, science was very much poo-pooing the ancient ways, from very much disagreeing with the old knowledge. But or at least for me, when you look at quantum physics, and what I knew from what I knew in Daoism, from Daoism, so it's the Eastern philosophy of China, but also my teacher was very much everything you learn enhances everything else you do. So he encouraged, they both Po and Shun both encouraged me to study religion. So I studied theology, I studied philosophy, I studied science, especially quantum physics is one of my favorite subjects, and as well as food and nutrition and anatomy. And the whole point of that is the more in one sense, metaphysically, the more you understand yourself, the more you can understand everything else. And that saying is out there. The more you love yourself, the more you can love everything else. And so it's this interesting thing that originally us off and saying we're all separate and we're all individual and we're not connected, and this focus was on fear and the us and them. And in Chinese philosophy, what people call the yin yang symbol is actually the true yin yang symbol, is half a black circle and half a white circle, and this shows opposing opposites, so right and wrong, left and right. And what this symbol was representing, that we would go through when we're not in harmony, we're in disharmony. And we were in and they were saying this round about 2,500 years ago, well 5,000 years ago was the start of it, according to the Yellow Emperor. But they were saying that this disharmony was building up, it was coming more and more, that we were losing connection. We're not connected to ourselves, to the source, whatever you see that as. And so, this, the interesting thing with the 2012 and the whole Mayan prophecy. The Mayan prophecy was literally, it was never the end of the world. It was a calendar stating it was the end of a cycle, and at the end of that cycle, the new cycle begins, and that new cycle begins with pending who translates it for you. It's some say the golden age, but it was actually always translated to me as the golden race, and we are the golden race. We are the people waking up. And again, there's interesting things like my lightsaber. Normally, I have lightsabers here, and they're very metaphorical, because the whole thing about George Lucas used the word Jedi. Jedi comes from the Egyptian word, which means the follower and keepers of the pillar of light. Now, a lightsaber is a pillar of light, but you're talking about the people of light, bringing the light, the keepers of light. So it's interesting how this, the Jedi, or de-Jedi, as I always call it, is a keeper of light. They are the bearers of that information, raising the vibration, drawing in light. Because when you bring in more light, you shun away the darkness. The darkness can only be there if there's not enough light. And the whole thing of, see, I don't even have my war hammer with me. I normally have a hammer which has a Tai Chi symbol on it. Can't even see. Oh, it's over there. Tai Chi symbol is actually, 1 second.
Okay.
This is not yin yang. This is Tai Chi. It is Tai Chi because it's in harmony. Tai Chi means supreme ultimate. It's the balance between the yin and the yang. This is what we've got to get back to. We've been very much this half black circle, half white circle, smashing against. We've had the battle of, we talk about the good and the evil, the dark side and the light side. And what, at least for me, what I'm aware of and what I've understood and what I was taught was, what's more important is, as you say, bringing in the light, but bringing back that balance, bringing back harmony, because we are out of balance. And because we are out of balance, we are not living as long as we should in these mortal bodies. According to the ancient Daoists and according to some cultures that are talking about people who lived 5,000 to 10,000 years ago, the average lifespan was between 200 and 500 years. Of course, we're used to, as an average lifespan, a little bit less, some places a little bit more. But it doesn't mean that was always the case. And medical profession obviously talks about the stress, and stress obviously reduces your body. And there are lots of you know, lots of things I've seen where I've seen people who were 100 years old looked 50. You know, at least. I mean, I'm 47, and most people don't think I look 47 years old. So there are things you can do. There are things you can change, and I find this really interesting. You know, it's yeah, it's very much about bringing that vibration, drawing in the light, raising the vibration. So with you guys, is there any connection? Is this purely amongst yourselves? Are you channeling any entities, or are there any entities that are also have given you this information or guiding you in any way?
Well, they are in the spiritual world. You can connect with all kind of vibrations, because they are in ethereal vibration in the higher dimensions. So for everyone can be different, because in my case I was able to contact with my grandfather, who was killed in the Spanish Civil War in 1939. So, and also with some people who have left this plane, and later if you match their spiritual emotions and the emotions that they were living here on Earth, you can channel with different spirits, Mahatma Gandhi, John Fitzgerald Kennedy. You can contact also with the experience of Martin Luther King. So it is how Nikola Tesla, in my case, is very, very present. Albert Einstein.
Oh.
So
that intrigues me. Well, we'll carry on. We'll go back to that. So, you were saying.
So that is for me what is very important. You have shown me the symbol of the yin yang. That is for me polarity, universal polarity. Then we have an universal law of polarity, where we see that negative and positive work together to generate energy. So in the battery of your car, there are two opposite poles, positive, negative, but they give you the power to start your car, to switch on the light, and whatsoever. Feminine and masculine. The feminine is in the negative energy, masculine is the positive. Both energies come together in harmony to create life and consciousness. So for me, the universal law of polarity is the matching of the vibration of the cosmos to work together with the cosmos. So from that perspective, you can reach individual spirits, souls. You can reach the source, you can reach the sun, Mother Earth, also the people of inner earth, of Agartha, of the city of Shambhala. You have their masters, and you can reach also, for example, my partner, my symmetric twin soul, Hilda, is an excellent channeler of cosmic energy, angels, Pleiadians, and she can travel through many places, through their chakras, and activate in the people that we assist to her sessions, also to expand to our chakras to higher dimensions. And then you can activate your crown chakra, you get the Kundalini working in your spine, and then you begin also to receive downloads and information from the cosmos. And depending who want to approach in every moment, you can get from entities, benevolent entities, you can get information. And for example, I channel with Jesus, and I know that Jesus has had some experience 2,000 years ago. And that is also giving me some light and some understanding what was happening then. In the end of the day, what we are living today is the echo, the reproduction, to recreate a new opportunity for humanity to see in this moment what happened then, and make new decision. We have still not made the decision because of fears, because of misunderstanding, because people might think that they are going to lose their positions or whatsoever. When this universal intelligence is in great energy of integration, and the integration can take place once that we definitely understand the essence of the purpose of the master creation. From that understanding, we could be able, for example, to pass to the spiritual world on purpose. That you say, okay, I give my heart back to the Creator, I pass to the new dimension, and come back again in 100 years, 50 years, whatsoever, taking your soul experiences of previous lives back to Earth. Once that the connection is restored, we have lost that ability to move in the cosmos because we have been for so many centuries in quarantine because our energies were toxic. So basically, it is universal medicine. And the universe is not our executioner, the universe is the teacher. And when we learn and when we understand, science is the empiric method can be infinite once that we start to measure that there are people on Earth on this moment that they have the ability to contact with the spiritual world telepathically and receive the truth of our history as a test of a proof that this connection is real. It is a real cosmic interchange of information. In universal polarity. The polarity is very important law for us to understand that the darkness and the light, at the end of the day, they are working together to create life. So Mother Earth has to turn. We are in constant motion in the cosmos. So Mother Earth is turning, and we get the night. What we can say that is the darkness, but that is also needed because the sun should be toasting literally the planet if we were a flat Earth where we get constantly the radiation of the sun. So all that process of negative, positive, masculine, feminine, daylight and dark works to create consciousness and life for us in this organic presence on Earth.
Indeed. Right. Well, there's a few questions there. So, yeah. So, I mean, right. Okay. I'll explain for me. For me, like, when we're talking about the positive and negative, with words can get very confusing, obviously. And like you say, with like the yin yang symbol, you know, the whole thing of this is that the white one is considered yang, it's considered expanding, it's considered light, it's considered masculine, it's considered drying. Where the yin is and it can also be considered in a list. One of the things it could be is positive. Yin is considered night, it's considered contracting, it's considered cooling, it's considered dampness, it's considered female, and it's negative. But it doesn't mean, and this is the sort of a question of sorts, is that when we're talking about positive and negative, people, you know, when we say, you know, positive can be masculine and negative can be feminine, you know, they'll go, what, you're so all men are good and all women are bad? He says, no, the list, in that list of things, these things, so you can have things that appear light, that can be negative, and you can have things that are darkness, that can be a positive. In the universe, this yin and yang this polarity, you know, the north and south is maybe a better in some respects, is that they are just energies. They're not good or bad. They just are. So there's an old Daoist saying that says, good or bad, that just is. And of course, people will say, oh, you know, but what about all the killing in the world? You say, well, if everything is alive, so if plants are alive and I eat a plant, I'm killing that plant. But that plant is consumed and I make energy out of it, and that plant's consciousness will then move on to something else. It will become something else. Everything has the ability to move through. So is that your understanding? You know, like, you know, the universe, there is this polarity, but there is, on that essence, the polarity is needed to generate things. You know, you want a magnet to spin, you've got to have a north and south, because that's what makes that. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we have enough references in the past. We have a huge knowledge of our the construction of the planet. We know how the dinosaurs, for example, extinct. So there is a process of construction and destruction in the forming of the planet. So it is how you can understand what is the purpose of the universal creation to make it that way. There can be discussions about, but from my point of view, I think we construct with love, or we create with love, and we destruct with consciousness. I think that is consciousness is a powerful energy, and that is something that we can understand once we can download the information from the source, explaining how things are done in the universe, and how those energies are affecting humankind on our planet. So of course, we have 5 kingdoms at the moment that we know: the mineral kingdom, vegetal kingdom, animal kingdom, and we see that they are predators, they are carnivores, that they are eating other animals to survive. In my opinion, those kingdoms are for humans an example where we don't have to fall. When we become predators of ourselves, we are falling in a lower kingdom. So those kingdoms are for us also an example of things, of choices that probably we should avoid in the moment of that we think of each other you know, victims, you know, that we use other humans for benefits, for money, or for other kind of energy. So all is about choices, and you make a better quality of choices once that you better understand the universe, where we are, and when we also understand the process of creation. So of course, life and death, that is also that process. And but when we understand that our soul transcends to higher dimensions, the fear of death is relative. What you are losing is a companion, is a family, is a brother, is this presence. But at the end of the day, you know that when you are passing to the next dimension, you are going to meet that soul again. And you have that constant process of evolution. We are here to learn the infinite universe in love. And that love is what makes us different of animals, of vegetables.
Indeed. And well, there's a couple, again, there's a couple of things there as well. There's that thing of, well, there is that thing of the understanding, especially the culture I grew. I mean, I am English. I'm born in England, but I spent many years on and off in the East, and I've spent many years around people, Eastern culture, especially Taoism. and through meditation and through through dreams and through things I awoke to as well as taught, was that you're the you inside listening to me, that consciousness, that part of you is immortal. That it is, and in many, even in Christianity, originally in Christianity, you had reincarnation. Reincarnation was in Christianity, and he was taken out. It was not a case of being put in, it was taken out. And that was around about, I think it was the 1400s. It was there was a big thing with the church in the 1400s. Don't want to really go into it, but the things like that and what they replaced it with, and I think the Roman Church sort of admitted it not so long ago, is they replaced that with heaven and hell. Originally, you had what was called purgatory. You had a process when you die. You went through a process of paying for your sins, your imbalances. The Daoists would say that things you had done that to things that you knew deep down would have hurt others. You would go through a tunnel where you paid that off, and then you get through the other side, and then incarnate. And that was in the original Christianity, and like I say, he was actually taken out and he was replaced with heaven and hell. And there was a documentary that actually said this, that there was a couple of high-ranking bishops, I think they were, who had admitted to this, that heaven and hell was actually placed into the information. And there's interesting things like in the Hebrew text. I had a friend who read to me from Hebrew the Old Testament, and the Hebrew, when translated correctly, and Hebrew is similar to Chinese. You can get many different translations because certain words mean different things when you put another word. And the most famous Bible quote of God created man in his own image is that when this friend of mine has said, he said, no, that's totally, he got quite upset about it when you sort of mentioned that, and he was saying the original translation is God created in its own image. And so the question straight away is, if everything is the image, how can everything be the image of God unless everything is God? So at least that's my point of view. So there's this interesting, there is this thing of that, like, so if you can reincarnate over and over again, then what is there to fear? What is there to worry about? If people just say, for example, knew that fact, that you live over and over again, would your life be different? That's a question for the audience. If you had unequivalent proof that you will live again and again and again, would you do this life any different? Is there anything you would change? That's an interesting question. Now, the other one about communication, when you lose past ones, is in the Eastern philosophy, is raise your vibration, raise your energy, learn about the different energy systems, and because nothing ever dies, that means it's always there, even if it reincarnates, which is the interesting thing in quantum physics. Quantum physics says that a particle can be in several places at the same time. So technically, and we've had this with you've had reports with the stories of Christ, but also with Buddha, the original Buddha, and also with other people, that somebody's died and 3 people have seen that person at the same time, but in 3 different locations. Because everything can be in the same place at once, and if you learn how to, you can communicate with. So nobody, if your mum's moved on, or your grandfather, or your best friend, they are technically always there because you're here. So they are here. It's just learning how to communicate with them.
Well, that is definitely my experience. I have seen in this last 4 years have been very intense, and you see so many things that there is no discussion about. For me, it's clear. This, of course, my personal, individual experience. We are now together with Hilda, living things together. So that is also, yeah, a great. There are great moments where you are sharing the experience, and I think the divine experience, and that is what we should go to, when we are able to share the divine experience of the creation on earth. That will be a point where will be no fears. We will understand that we are immortal, and uh, this is, for me, I compare these things. When people buy a car, you can use it 10 years. Your car is broken, and you buy a new car, but you remain the same person driving the car, and in that time you have learned how to drive, and probably you buy a better car, or more safe, more advanced, and that is just the way of the soul. The soul comes to the organic body, that is the temple. It's where we move ourselves in this organic life, but we are spiritual beings having an organic experience. And that is something I don't say that many people understand this, and the collective understanding on these crucial points is what is making us every day more immortal, because that is what we are going to. We are going to understand immortality and how we can change constantly from car from without losing the experience of our driving journey. Our journey driving on Earth. So the problem is when we are reset, we are re-entering here this plane, we are losing in our memory the experiences that we have probably have had in previous lives, because this planet is in quarantine, disconnected with the rest of the universe. So it is understanding. The ascension is consciousness, and consciousness is understanding. If we believe, we can see. If we see, we understand. If we understand, we experience. If we experience, we can become energies, or vibrate in that energies, and from that vibration we can manifest with words on this world, and interchange the knowledge with one another. And that is what is making our civilization on this moment ascending. They're ascending the Schubert resonance. There are parameters, there are measures on this moment that they are giving us the idea they are having extraordinary things in the vibration. People, I can tell you that I can see colors in another intensity. You can hear, your senses are more sharp, receiving information on this moment, because that expanding of consciousness, your aura is more purified. So you are in that level of cosmic reception, receiving all kind of signs of signals and codes that they are giving you more intense experience of this organic life. And that is something that we experience individually, with my partner, with Hilda, and a collective, and many people. We are now interchanging this vibration. So I told you that I'm a cosmic pilot, and I consider myself a captain pilot on this movement on Earth of this awakening. So that is, for me, the important reason that I also talk about all prophet consciousness, because all are our great masters, and of course many other spirits, many other living beings as Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein. They were living here their energies, and you can tap and you can learn from their teachings and their energy. They were also connected people to the source. So Nikola Tesla, for example, was a man of great invention. He was also talking about the 3, 6, 9, the power of the universe, that he knew about. He knew about that there were a source of energy in the universe. He couldn't define probably on that time more accurately, but that is what we are on. We are just in the process of learning what we are doing in this universe, and the universe is also learning from us. So we grow in the womb of the universe, and that womb is the womb of creation, and not only in our solar system, but in other solar systems, you should find captain pilots of their spaceships with different levels of consciousness. So the point here is that we have collectively lost some thousands of years of evolution of that understanding. That if you don't understand, you fall in a kind of subdimension of the money, of the division, of the negative and positive that have to be conflicting with each other. The women and men, they have to be conflicting with each other, religions, and that is not the real understanding of our divine essence. So that polarity is what, when we understand that point, we create consciousness. We don't create, there is, from that consciousness, we know that we are all connected. So every pole is working to create, to co-create together. And that consciousness is what we have to really understand.
Yeah, because like you're saying, because we've been in this opposing, and while we're in this opposing point of view, we're not connected to the universe and to ourselves, and we're losing energy. We're not gaining, like, because we're so distracted by. But all this opposing, we're fighting. You know, we are fighting each other. We're fighting ourselves within ourselves. When you have in Buddhist and Daoist concept, they talk about monkey mind and Buddha or Daoist thought, the ego and intuition. Now, the interesting thing in the West, we see, like you've had cartoons and movies where you had an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other. The interesting thing is that, we see these, but what we have to also, these are not separate to us. These are us. The angel and the devil are actually forms of us. They're and you even had in certain cartoons, you would see if it was like Daffy Duck, and Daffy Duck's devil was Daffy Duck with horns, and Daffy Duck's angel was Daffy Duck with a halo. They are us. And the difference is that especially in Taoism, is what they say is that monkey mind is very loud and distracts you, but when you take away its power, you listen to it, and if it says, oh, don't go out, stay here tonight, stay home, maybe you should go out, you do its opposite. Is that it will always want you to do, it'll always try to distract you from gaining more power and becoming more conscious. So it's not bad, it's just what it is. It's there to test you, it's there to give you things to do, give you things to learn from. So that's that's this understanding of, and when you can listen to both of them, and you become, again, like the Tai Chi symbol is that that is intuition, and you're this line in the middle. You're the middle part, and balancing that, and you can blend in. And it's very interesting because with Nikola Tesla says to the three most fundamental numbers of the universe are 3, 3, 6, and 9. Now, interestingly enough, in Daoist philosophy, the 6 is considered yin.
Yeah.
Is the yin. 6, the number 6 is represented by yin. The number 9 is represented by yang. So you have the yin and the yang, and the 3 is there are many versions of it, but the 3 ones is Qi, Jing, and Shen. So Qi, physical vitality; Jing, the heart, emotional vitality; Shen, spiritual vitality or inspiration. And when you blend them together, you get mind, body, and spirit. The Holy Ghosts. You get this blending, and you create unity. Now, the other interesting thing is China. When I went to Tibet, when I went to India, these 3 places especially, they talked about an ancient culture, and they talked about this ancient civilization. They pre-Atlantis. When people talk about Atlantis, they talk about pre-Atlantis, but this ancient civilization, they knew that their consciousness, you had meridians, which are the Chinese energies, the chakras behind me, the aura, which a lot, people talk about auras, the Merkaba, 2 triangles, the Merkaba or the Star of David, and field, which is also represented by the flower of life, which is behind me there and there. They are layers of your consciousness, your energy body, your real energy, the chakras, the aura, the Merkaba, and the Torah field, and they bound together by the Dantians, which are 3 energy cells, and the Dantians are also the 3 ones, the 3. So when Tesla was talking about the 3, the 6, and the 9, when I first studied that and learned about that, is that and you see the accumulations that the 9 is like heaven, and it's the greater energy. The yin, the 6 is the smaller energy, and the 3 binds them together. It binds the whole principles together. And for me, so for me, it's like when people, what happened, all those societies moved away, and then meridians and dantians became a separate thing. Chakras became a separate thing. Auras became a separate thing. Merkaba became a separate thing. And it's this, for me, my guidance is bring them together. If you have a little bit of understanding of each one, you will actually grow more than being master of one. Is that this balance, this understanding of these energies, because the chakras are emotion connected. Their biggest energy is emotion. Then it's physical. Then it's spirit. The meridians, their biggest is the physical body. Then it's emotions. Then it's spirit. The aura, its biggest connection is spirit. Then it's emotions. Physical body. The Merkaba is the masculine, yin and yang, binds the 2 together, and the Torah field is the feminine. The Torah is the mother, because everything has a Torah in it. Everything has the flower of life, 64 circles, 64 spears. And the Merkaba, which becomes a tetrastahedron, is 64 pyramids. And they are the yin and the yang of each other.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
So
that is 100%.
I know a little bit. I know a little.
No, excellent. I mean, this is at the end the same beautiful construction, universal construction, and every single one of us has his of her own experience and interpretation, and we manifest from our free and sovereign and independent position what we experience of this sacred universal construction. So of course, the point here is that some people who probably couldn't understand, they judged the creation, they condemned the creation, and they decided to fight against the creation by dividing all what the creation was binding together. So that is the opposite direction, and that decisions probably 2,000 years ago of previous, it has taken humanity in a direction to the edge of destruction, because that is manifesting in our bodies, is manifesting in our collective energies. And at the end of the day, when we look at the fractal structure of the universe, we are particles in the atom that is Mother Earth. We have electrons, positive charged people, negative charged people, and neutral charged people. We are atoms in the cell, in the living cell that is Mother Earth, and we are cells in the living body that is Mother Earth. So we can place ourselves in all the levels of creation, and that is what the universe is basically made of stable particles. The quasars, the electrons, they are stable particles. And we have individually become unstable particles because we are colliding against each other by that indoctrination to division, because that knowledge is lost. Once that we are gaining again progressively the knowledge and interchanging our and manifest our individual experiences, we are building all together. But we realize at the same moment that that is a wonderful experience to share that divine construction, because the other direction is taking us to destruction, and this interchange of understanding is taking us to immortality. So that is a quite different path. And of course, how much we understand our journey will be more comfortable in the future if we are able to put in place to understand that all creation is unconditional giving. People is afraid of the money. We are obsessed with the money, with production. We have transformed Mother Earth in an industry. All is an industry for money. And we have to create a world that makes sense for humans, not for money. So the priority, I think the purpose of this understanding is how we are able to manage and to rethink the model of on Earth, that we put humans on top of the priorities, and money is another energy, but we are, in my vision, possessed by the energy of money. And Jesus is what Jesus said 2,000 years ago. We were not prepared on that moment. We didn't have enough consciousness to control the powerful energy of money. And what we see at this moment is that that energy has possessed humanity. We have transformed our planet in an industry, and we have transformed. We are commercialized. When we gain this consciousness and when we understand the divine energies, we can use money and create a new system of guide by giving instead of control by taking. So that is for me the point where the understanding has to go, that people need to understand that from integrity, authenticity, transparency, human responsibility, and moderation, we have to rethink the model on Earth, control money, and try to apply that energy in the way that we are making sense of ourselves. And actually, the instability on Earth, the problem is that we are giving our energies for money, not for ourselves. And that is what this unity has to go. And I think that the crucial point for humanity on this moment is to understand that money has to be controlled by humans, not humans being controlled by the energy of money. And that is for me the point of transformation. Once that we are able to understand that we can guide humanity by giving, we will completely matching the unconditional energies that we are receiving from the cosmos, because we are not paying for the air that we breathe. We are not paying for the sun that we get. We are not paying for the apples that we get from the trees that the fertile Mother Earth is giving for us to feed ourselves. So why get crazy by money? I mean, we have now the consciousness that we need to improve again and to restore our unconditional giving energies together with the cosmos to guide humanity, not to control by enslaving, but to guide by giving. And of course, some measures has to be taken, but this has to be a global conscious effort to bring these energies into balance and stability. That is why I talk a lot about stability. You know, when there's something that I have written in my articles, in my post in the last days, that corruption in societies is the result of the lack of spirituality. Because if we consider that we run in four wheels, and that is the organic, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, once that you miss the spiritual wheel, the car is not really in balance, so that the comfort of the journey is quite of dangerous. So how what is the spare wheel that we are using to get the motion more or less stable? Is corruption. Money to fit the image. We are also in the pie of the image. Everything needs to have an image. So the emotional intelligence is also divided. The monkey mind, the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere, they are represented in our Western society by the Labour and the Tory, and in Spain, Republicans and Democrats. Those are both brains, sides, both hemispheres in conflict with each other. So the division comes in the monkey mind in the moment that you break the connection with the heart, because the heart is the connection. The heart chakra is represented by the cross of David. You have it there. That is the Merkaba. Yeah, that is the one. And the heart chakra, it is the connection. That is something that has been clearly explained by one of our brothers. It is David Hopkins. He's just amazingly explaining this kind of connections, and that is what we are missing. We have missed the connection of the energy of love that is emanating and radiating from the heart chakra. So, as the Native Americans say, the longest journey in life is from the mind to the heart, and that is what we are now on this moment, I think, collectively trying to find that connection with the heart. Once that the heart is in harmony with the mind begins to understand, and that comes in calm. That understanding is removing the fears. So that is the process, I think, where we are in. And the people who is afraid of this process of evolution of humanity are those who were more in the conflict on the monkey mind, just conflicting the two hemispheres. Yeah, for example, you have the Western Hemisphere and the Eastern Hemisphere. If you look at the Eastern countries, they have one party, the communist countries, China, Russia, for example, they have one party. They have not that conflict of the two hemispheres because they are in another frequency. And Well, that is the history that we have also witnessed here. And the Europeans are basically the clone society from the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire, together with the Pharisees and the monarchy of Herod, were the ones who were dismissing the divine presence of Christ, and they thought that they could start a journey on earth by conquering other. And what we see is just through these 2,000 years a cloning system from that empire, and that is on this moment what we are witnessing. And if you see carefully, you can see the spirit of Herod, and you can see many spirits who come back on this moment to manifest the energies that were created on that time. So we have to look carefully to our situation and try to remove the fears. And in my opinion, it's important that we acknowledge this divine consciousness, because at the end of the day, our collective journey will be more comfortable for everybody, for all of us. And I think that division is taking us to a point where we cannot continue evolving. So there are choices to make, Paul. So globally, and I think that the leaders that we have should be also informed about this universal spirituality. We have created also a school of universal light and spirituality, and I am approaching parties here in Spain because there is a lot of conflict in this country between parties, the new parties of young people. So when all understand that we have to focus more on the heart and combine and harmonize the heart with the mind, we should relax. We should move. We should put the fears aside, and we should fill that space with consciousness. So that is for me the process that actually we have to work on. Hello.
Indeed, yeah, it's very much about that. As I pointed there, the heart chakra, just the green one, just in the center. Funny enough, in the center of the snake. Snake, dragon. I should say dragon. I shouldn't say snake. Yeah. That's a dragon. Yeah, it's not the snake, the Kundalini. That's different. That is actually the dragon. But absolutely. Because that's why it's got Tai Chi symbol up above. But anyway, that's another thing. Yeah. Yes, it's all about connecting with the heart, and it's the masculinity and the femininity within ourselves as well. It's not just it's not just this conflict outside with male and female. It's that us ourselves, we are both masculine and feminine, and through the last couple of hundred years, if not longer, a couple of thousand years, we've been taught that one thing, if you're a man, you should be like this. If you're a woman, you should be like this. And, the point is, you have both sides in you. And if you do not embrace them, it's like monkey mind and ego. If you don't embrace them, they will cause havoc, both of them. They will have you running around in circles. And the whole thing of the Tai Chi symbol up there, and where I put it, because I haven't got my hammer. One of my students got my hammer. I have to get my hammer back off him. But the whole Tai Chi symbol, it's all about harmony within here, not just out here. Well, for me, like you're saying about coming back into your heart, coming to your center, and because before we can solve all these outside issues, we have to solve the issues inside us. We have to start working on ourselves and balancing ourselves and find the harmony with ourselves. And the middle dantian, which is Jing, which also represents the heart chakra. It's all about love. It's all about loving ourselves, then spreading that out, raising the vibration in ourselves, You know, it has to be both. You can't help humanity without helping yourself, but you can't help yourself without helping humanity. There is this balance. I'd just like to say good evening, Agent 35. Good evening, Marilyn. How are you doing?
Good evening. Hello.
So Marilyn, Juan Marilyn. She's one of our co-hosts.
Hello, Marilyn.
Hello. Very nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm glad to see you. Yes. Love your presence. Thank you.
So Marilyn, is there any? I mean, I know you just sort of appeared. So, is there any questions at all? Have you picked up on any of this we've been talking about yet?
Well, I'm laughing because I've just finished doing. I've got them still here on my desk. I've just finished doing some Angel Tarot card a teleseminar, and it's the whole theme for every single person that I read for was about love, and was about healing the past, and was about going into the self and working with healing the self before you can then go out. And I was talking about the power of allowing yourself to receive, because we're very good givers. And so I'm just smiling because I've come in clearly at that part where you sound like you're talking about something very, very similar.
Synchronicity.
Absolutely, absolutely. So no questions at this stage. I'm just like, cool.
Yeah. That's cool. Because actually, I'll say that as well. Talk about synchronicities. Juan, is that this afternoon I came across a YouTube video. I can't remember its actual name at the moment, but it is actually from the Palladians. It was the channel reading from Palladians, and it was all pretty much what we've talked about tonight. It's all about that we are pillars of light. And when, you know, I joke about the whole Jedi and the lightsabers, we are the pillars of light. And our mission is to raise the vibration. Is that by raising our frequency, by increasing the amount of light we draw in, by letting more in, we will then gain more knowledge. We will open up and will, in essence, if you want to put it that way, we'll save humanity. We'll rebalance humanity is my preference. Is this whole, we are very much conflicting. This whole, you know, we've, especially the last couple of 100 years, society has been very war driven. You know, we're very much about war and this and that. And it's you know, that's because, for me, Daoist point of view, half a white circle. We're opposing opposites. We're clashing heads like males and females have done for many years. Clashing heads, all because we're not seeing that we're actually the same thing. We're all one. You know, and you know, there's both a masculine and feminine in every person. So you know, it's about drawing back to center. It's a great saying. They say in Buddhism and in Daoism, drawing back to center, drawing back to the heart chakra, the middle dantian. In the Merkaba will be right in the center. That's like, sometimes when you see the Star of David, you'll actually see a circle in the center, and that's the secret information. That's the secret sign of the heart chakra, the middle dantian, the core. That everything goes to the core. In the Merkaba, same, that the center circle is sometimes highlighted, or they'll actually have a Merkaba inside. So. Yeah, it's all, you know, it's all about coming back to center. It's all about balancing ourselves, you know, bringing things back to balance. Indeed.
Well, that is basically, yeah. Well, I think when we want to turn in high speeds and the vibration has to be high, everything has to be centered, balanced, aligned, and stable. That is what I say. When you drive a car, you have to be aligned of the way, you have to be balanced, you have to be centered, you have to be stable. Then you can go fast. If you are missing one of the points, you are driving like this, or your car is just like that because you are loading one side more of the other, or you are missing a wheel of whatsoever, then you cannot go very fast because you take the risk to make an accident. With humanity and the energies, it's exactly the same. and we are losing the center, and that is the heart chakra. And inside the heart chakra, you have the point that sorry, and that point is the connection with the source. We are connected with the source of all creation by the heart chakra, because this universe has been created with the essence and the powerful energy of love. And that love is the energy that binds all together in the universe. So that is where our stability begins um, um, to fail, when we lose that heart chakra inner point connection with the source of all creation in the universe. And that is something you can explain with words, but you have to feel it inside. And I think when people feels and knows the experience, it is when you can manifest that experience translated in words, because what we are getting here is a lot of information telepathically, but what we need in humanity is to feel, to experience love. That is one of my questions not long ago. Do you understand love? Do we understand love? Because we think that we understand love, but love is a manifestation in an energy which has a high potential of an intensity to be manifested. Unconditional love is everything, basically. So that is, I think, where we have to find the experience in the heart chakra, and then that connection. And as far as I can see and I can feel, I think that humanity has indeed found a way to meet each other in that point, and the sacred space of our hearts. And that is the beautiful news, I think.
It is indeed. It is. It's yeah. I very much think it's definitely the focus of the thing is find that connection within yourself, and finding the connection within yourself will help you find it in others. You know, is that it's this looking within, very much looking within and finding. Well, you said it at the very beginning, the whole thing of the pillar of light, and very much about the light is focus on the heart, but also the more you add light, if you have a dirty glass and you keep pouring water into it, eventually all that dirt will go, because if you keep pouring water, it brings up the dirt, and the cup will overflow and the dirt will disappear. So filling up with light, constantly filling up with light, will naturally take away your fears, will naturally take away the negativity, because when you focus on the light, more light in a room, the less darkness there is, because it's a natural law of the universe. If that darkness goes somewhere else, it will still exist, because it always will exist, because that's the flow of the universe. Everything has to exist because it does. But you want to change something, you want to change yourself. The more you fill yourself up with light, the more qigong, the more exercise you do, the more you work on yourself, the more you will change. The more you work, the more you change. The more you change, the more you work.
Absolutely, it is an inner exercise. So we have to look for that intensity. Meditation, do yoga. I used to meditate in the darkness at night, and I mean, there is something this obvious. We can see the stars at night with our naked eye, which are billions of light years away from us. And why is that? Why can't we see the stars that they are so far with our naked eyes at night? Why we can do that when it is not clouded, of course? Why? Because the universe is transparent. The universe is transparent, and we have lost also the transparency in the rabbit hole. Who did goes the rabbit hole? We are hiding ourselves from ourselves, from the lies, from the authenticity, from the purpose of our why we were created. So transparency is, I think, for me, one of the most important things of this moment. Why is corruption? Corruption is coming now to the light because we are becoming transparent. But before, nobody knows what were happening, more or less, because we were hiding ourselves from our acts. Actions. We were corrupted. We were doing things for money. We are now becoming transparent, and that is a wonderful thing because we are entering one another's homes. Our souls are opening to others. Our hearts are opening to others, and that is something that is giving us a perspective that we don't need to be afraid to be ourselves and to manifest our love, to manifest our connections, to give love to each other. I remember 3-4 years ago, people did not understand love. My mission here on earth is from my heart to give love to others. But you have to understand love, because I was also surprised when I started to love my brothers or my friends in Facebook. I say, oh my God, what is happening here? So that is overwhelming experience in the intensity of love. When you are feeling that, many people are also afraid of feeling love, and we have to manifest love openly in transparent communication with each other. Why should be ashamed of sharing love with each other? The cosmos is transparent. The stars are sharing the light with us. Why we are not going to share our light with each other and with the cosmos? That is matching the frequency, vibration, and energy of the universe, in my perspective. So for me, that is the miracle, that we are now starting to discover ourselves through transparency, and that is very important point. The transparency is very important point also, together with integrity, authenticity, and of course moderation, and we need to apply to our planet human responsibility. That human responsibility comes from love. And once that you love everything that is around you, you look at everything in a quite different perspective, not from the monkey mind, using others but you are seeing family, you are seeing relatives, you are seeing beautiful people, you are seeing people in need. Even there is people present of the moment on Earth, that is the people that they are calling with a syndrome of Down, but they are bringing a quite transparent, pure message to us of humanity. And I learn from that people too, because they are telling very beautiful things, because they are not hiding anything. They are transparent in their manifestations. And they are coming here to learn, to teach us how to be transparent with each other. So that is for me also, they are human beings that also need to be considered in the collective, because they are doing very wonderful things for us, manifesting transparency. But we are blind by other distractions, and that is what we have to focus, in my opinion, to more open to travel to our connection. What is the heart chakra? That is my conclusion. That is my experience, and that is what I try to manifest and to share with other people. I feel great by giving love to others.
Yeah. Well, in one of the sayings, it's in Buddhism as well, but in Taoism is we've talked about the three ones, and the three pure ones. The three pure ones is forgiveness, unconditional love. Is that is the whole thing is. Everybody's got a past. Everybody has been through stuff and been through issues in themselves and with each other. And the one thing to connect with your heart, to raise the vibration, you have to learn to forgive yourself. You have to learn to forgive others. Letting go. If you don't let go of the past, you'll drag it along. It will be like a big rucksack on your back. And the same with the present and the future as well. If you don't let it go and just let it be to a certain degree, it around, and that carrying it around makes you heavy, and therefore you're not light. So then the gratitude is all about opportunity to learn. Everything is an opportunity to love. Everything is an opportunity to expand. So therefore, every single moment, I'm probably known for smiling a lot because I try to be grateful. I try to be thankful for every situation, even the negative ones, because even negative situations are just Sifus. They're teachers. They're lessons. If you learn from them, they're a lesson. They are a Sifu. If you don't learn from them, that's when they can appear to be negative or can appear to be a problem. But it's the point of learning from them. And then the final one, unconditional love. Not just conditional love, as in love for a partner or love for a particular thing, is that opening your heart up to be open to everybody, even the negative, to a degree. Is the whole thing of with the darkness, shine the light, shine your love. Is that I'm a martial artist of years, but one of my biggest martial art techniques is smile, be silly, send out love. Is that I've learned that when somebody's being super aggressive to me, if I can totally flip it around and be really smiling and really happy, apart from them thinking I'm totally mental, eventually what happens is that it just disperses. Is that all that aggression has to go, because it can only anger and aggression can only be fed by more anger and aggression. If you're angry and they're angry, it clashes and it builds up and explodes. That's why arguments become arguments. But if you can if you can send in love, if you can smile, if you can find a way to be compassionate, and so jokey but not to be dishonorable, not to be disrespectful, but but to be compassionate in that person, and find the humor there, and find the middle ground, you'll always overcome a battle. I've overcome far more battles, but through love and humor, than I actually ever needed to fight. For me, the martial side is there if I have to use it, but if I can, I will do everything. But I will take the mickey out of myself. I will take the mickey out of everything else. I will be funny. I'll be silly. I'll make funny noises. If I can find a way to disperse the situation without using physical action, I will. And that's the point. That's how, all the darkness in the world, you don't overcome it through more violence. You don't overcome it through more anger, through more aggression. You overcome it with understanding. You overcome it with love, and you overcome it. You find a way to neutralize that situation. If you can neutralize that situation, you'll always win. If your aim in winning is for it to be neutralized, that's my I don't want to win to be the best of the world. I want everyone to win. I want to neutralize an aggressive situation rather than actually have to deal with it. Sense for you?
Well, that is for me clear that the greatest power in the universe comes from humility. humbleness. So that is one of the greatest energy of the creation, that is humility, and that is, of course, the greatest source of power in the positive, the consciousness vibration, no? Universal consciousness vibration. You have to be humble, and you, from that moment, is when the source and the universe is granting you with knowledge, because otherwise you are energetically refusing to accept those kind of vibration if you are just arrogant or aggressive. So that is directly proportional on the level of ascension that we now have, but that is an exercise, collective exercise of humility. What we have to do in planet Earth, as Marilyn said, that we have to pass the page of the past. We have to learn from the past, but we don't need to look back with resentment. The past is a lesson, and we have to look at the future from humility, and then create a new model where humans make sense of ourselves. What this world, this life makes sense for humans, that we don't create alliances for other energies. So that is humility, and that's if people thought 2,000 years ago that they could declare the war against the universe. It's like the unthinkable happened in the moment that's inside of the womb of creation. Some people thought that they were able to declare war against the opposite to humility. So that is, for me, something that we need to do. And well, there are a number of energies that we have to combine together and to consider this consciousness. And from that point, I believe, and I'm convinced that we can co-create together in a quite better world. That is a much better world for us and for future generations.
Indeed. Right. I think we'll start wrapping it up. So, Marilyn, is there any questions?
Yes, and you might have already talked about this, but for me, the question would be, for somebody who has not grown up experiencing love, for somebody who's never experienced unconditional love, and I know love is probably undefinable, but how would you, to them, describe love? How would you explain love? How would you explain unconditional love, such that if they've never felt it and experienced it, you give them a sense of what it truly means? Because it's words that we use all the time, but I meet so many people who've never actually experienced it. So how would you, if it's possible, how would you describe and define it?
That is a good question, of course, because nobody of us, I think, that experience before unconditional love, unless just from my mother, but I couldn't place it in the divine perspective of creation. You receive love from your parents, but it's something that is it's assumed that has to be that way, but you are not really conscious of that unconditional love. So how do you explain now to people how unconditional love feels, of what that does it mean? I think that women have on this moment a very important role in that matter, because it's from the temple of creation that they are women. That is where the spirituality is more close to the source. Yeah? So what we men cannot do is to give birth. So from us is already a little handicap to reach that level of unconditional love. So, in my opinion, from the perspective of man, you can try, but I think the women are the ones who are entitled on this moment to explain, and that is why we are considering also in all conversations that women have to take that path of mastery to teach men how universal spirituality and unconditional love means for the entire humanity. For me, unconditional love is giving without asking something in return. And that is what I'm just doing in the last 3 years. I'm without income since 2013, and I'm working during the last 4 years constantly writing to people, to governments, to politicians, publishing articles according to my possibilities. And that is what I'm doing. For me, that is unconditional love. Is just giving that love without asking something in return. And that is something that the mothers are doing the best. I have seen that from my mother, from my family, and I know how hard he has working for us during our lives without vacation. Also, when he was sick, you know, that is a manifestation. You can manifest unconditional love also in many ways. These people who is going to Africa to help doctors without frontiers, that they are going to risk their lives to help other people. Mother Teresa of in India, we have enough examples, I think, in the world for people who didn't experience directly unconditional love to see what others have been doing during a long time on this planet to manifest that energy to help others. So that is definitely for me also something to advise to those who are still doubting how we can experience that. Just look for the reference, because there are enough reference on this planet of many people, women, men, who have been giving their lives for humanity during many centuries. So I have been also looking to them, and I have learned a lot. So for me, I'm not discovering anything. I think there are many great grandmasters who have given everything for us this moment to have this experience. When we have the opportunity to share this possibility to change the world forever with love and unconditional love. So that is, there's many sources, but the best source is inside. That is what we have been talking about. You have to look for that love inside. You can use reference from other people, your family, grandmasters, but at the end you have to feel that experience inside of your own sacred space. That is my conclusion, my answer. Yeah.
Does that answer your question, Marion?
Yeah, that's cool. And I have one more tiny question, actually. In terms of looking at the world and looking at humanity, in some respects, you know, what I saw on the news a couple of weeks, well, not the news, on my Facebook newsfeed, it looked as though the world is sometimes going backwards, because some of the scenes I saw were reminiscent of when Dr. Martin Luther King was alive. And so my question is humanity in some respects going backwards? Or is this just that how it appears? And what is next for humanity in terms of what you pick up in terms of the collective energy of some of those situations? Where are we headed and what's next?
In my experience, I think we are just witnessing of living, of co-creating the experience of a divine plan. So the polarities of our civilization have to manifest independently of one another. So because that in between is what is creating the light and the consciousness. So sometimes it looks like it's going backwards, but at the end of the day, what we are have to extract from all these manifestation intense opposite polarities is meant for humans to understand the universal consciousness. It is for us the lesson to learn on Earth what happens to a civilization when we lose the contact with the universal source and our spirituality. So I just beg for the reconciliation. I exactly don't know. I think that we are living a period of 9 years to get birth a new civilization. As we are 9 months in the womb of our mothers to get birth, I think that humanity is needing 9 years to complete this process of awakening. And after that time, I suppose that will come in a reconciliation, and hopefully both manifestations that they are looking so negative at the moment will come a reconciliation. That is my belief. That is my hope, and that is, I think, the lesson for the entire humanity to learn in this moment, not to go back to those kind of manifestations, negative manifestations, and terrorism, and the fears, and the division, and the fights, and all those kind of energies that we were not created for. So that is what I believe is going to happen. I don't know, because I don't have a view in the future, but that is my belief, and that is, I think, the purpose of the master plan of for humanity to complete this cycle of energies and to enter in the new era of Aquarius, clean and purified and healed as far as we can heal ourselves, and with the guidance of spiritual masters and people who have been working in both opposite polarities to bring this consciousness, universal consciousness, and unconditional love back to Earth. That is what I believe, Marilyn.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
You are welcome. Thank you for your questions.
Awesome. Okay, right. So I'm going to wrap this up. So thank you. Thank you, Juan, so much. I've had a very interesting journey. I've very much enjoyed this. As I said, the synchronicity of listening to the Palladian thing, which was talking pretty much of what we talked about today. And yeah, so we will keep in contact. I want to talk to you a bit more in the future about stuff. So yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you very much. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we sort of conclude? Is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything else?
I offer Marilyn the opportunity to say something first, if she wants.
Okay, well, for me, all I will say is I just love the synchronicity of this whole thing, because the process that I took my group through was a process for unconditional love and working with the polarities. That was exactly how I put it. So I of course, I only came in at the tail end, but what I heard was very kind of in alignment with the thoughts that I've had and what I've been doing. So I just want to say thank you, and I very much look forward to going back and listening to the replay. Thank you.
Now, thank you, Marilyn. I found a real presence and the energy and your light was directly signed. So thank you very much for your questions and to help me explain also myself. This I think that your questions were very good oriented. So I'm grateful also for your presence today in this conversation. And well, yeah, what I would like to say on this case is that as I told you, is that probably for some beers, and you give me your permission that, as I told you, we have created a school of universal light and spirituality together with Hilda, is my soul partner. And we are organizing now in Cívicos here in Spain, in the province of Ávila, from the 18th to the 24th, and in week of yoga and meditation in nature. And we plan to visit Ávila to talk about the connection of Ávila and the energy of transition that there is on that place. So I invite, we have 16 places for people who would like to travel and meet us personally. And we will be pleased to share all this spiritual energy with all those who want to visit us in Spain, and would be a great opportunity to meet personally each other. So that is what I wanted to say. And
yeah. Well, send us the links. If you send us the links, what I'll do is I'll add it to this video, but also more importantly, there is, we have on Facebook, we have the Way of Conscious Conscious Mindfulness, the Way of Conscious Mindfulness. We have the fan page, and we also have the Way of Learning, which is an actual Facebook group where people, so I'll actually add you to that as well, and we get to share. That's for co-hosts and everybody to share information within the group. So I'll if you send me the links, I will add that to the group. I'll add that also to the fan page. So anybody who is interested, they can contact you and go and do that. Okay.
Thank you very much. All the information is in our web página, www.mukandai.nl. Sorry. So that is, and I will send you the links. And I'm grateful that you offered your support for this initiative for us in Spain. Thank you very much. A great pleasure.
And I always support the Jedi.
I know.
The pillar of light. I'm on the Jedi side. My lightsabers are over there, so nobody's actually had to witness me playing with my lightsabers this show. But
well, I will tell you a secret. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah?
Oh, actually.
Yeah, that is it.
A little bit like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Always know where your lightsaber is. So, yeah. So, yeah. So, thank you so much. It was been a great show. As always, to the wonderful, the beautiful, the very knowledgeable Agent 35, Marilyn. She is a star as always. I know she's been busy today, and I'm always grateful for her appearance. So thank you so much, Marilyn.
Thank you, and you're most welcome. Lovely to meet you, Juan, and lovely to speak to you, Sifu.
Thank you very much, both from blessings and grace from the source in your path.
Indeed. So hold on for a minute. Don't disappear just yet. But for the show wise, guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. We went to an extended one this year, this time, rather than doing it in two parts. Next week is going to be an interesting show. It will be Tim Wilde yet back again on the show for the third time running, and we will be doing, I'm pretty sure it is the Way of Atlantis. So we're going to do a subject show. We'll be doing a Way of Atlantis Sita. So we're in part 3. So Tim will be back on the show next week, and we'll be talking about Atlantis. We'll be going over some of the old stuff, but going over some new stuff as well. And so that will be a subject show rather than a guest show of sorts. So Tim will sort of be a co-host. So, but the subject will be Atlantis, and it will be the Way of Atlantis, Sita. So look forward to that one. If you would like to know some more information, again, I said there will be links on the YouTube channel here, but if you also go to Facebook and you look up the Way of Conscious Mindfulness, you will find the fan page. And then also there is a group on Facebook called The Way of Learning, which is part of the Way of Conscious Mindfulness. And that is where the co-hosts and also the guests can share stuff, and other people can share stuff and share knowledge and share information. So for now, I hope it's good night from Marilyn.
Adiós. Hasta siempre.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Adios. It is good night from the great and mighty Juan.
Good night.
Good night.
See you.
and it's good night for me. So take care. Always know what your lifesaver is. Love, chi, and shen from the Way of Conscious Mindfulness.